My sister-in-law is Lin'an's famous Rouge Tigress.A powdered face. Thunderous methods. She kept my brother submissive, not daring to take concubines. All the men in Lin'an laughed at him for being henpecked. One day, my brother led back a shy young woman. Even with a trembling voice, he still stood in front of her to protect her, and said to my sister-in-law, "Yang Yang and I have already become intimate. Today, whether you nod or not, I must take this concubine." But my sister-in-law didn't pick up that rolling pin again. She just smiled and said, "Good, I'll take her in for you." My sister-in-law is Lin'an's most famous Rouge Tigress, wielding a rolling pin. She'd hit my brother wherever he displeased her. If he didn't go to the shop to do business, she'd hit him, hit him, hit him. If he didn't associate well with capable people, she'd hit him, hit him, hit him. If he flirted outside, she'd hit him even more. Hit him, hit him, hit him. My mother didn't like her, always feeling that she terribly bullied her precious son, but I liked her. Sister-in-law never taught me the 3 obediences and 4 virtues, or to be meek and submissive. That mother taught me. Behind mother's back, she would quietly tell me, "Rouge, those rules for women, just put on a show. Don't ever let them get into your head. When choosing a husband, what you truly want in your heart is what matters. If you want him to be rich and powerful, there is no other way. You can only make some sacrifices, and pretend to be the way he likes. But if you only seek true love, then just let your temper loose. Whoever can accept that is your true love. Anyway, no matter which you seek, you can't believe your mother-in-law's talk about the husband being the sky. Not letting ourselves suffer is the greatest principle. My sister-in-law doesn't despise women who pursue wealth and status, but she only seeks true love. That year, my elder brother went out to collect rent and was instantly captivated by her. With such good looks, she naturally had no shortage of suitors, some of whom were even richer than my family in terms of wealth. But my sister-in-law, just as she said, let her temper loose, and in the end, only my elder brother. The day she finally agreed to my brother invited her out for a spring outing, and brought me along too, hoping to use my chubby face to make my sister-in-law happy. It was a perfectly clear day, pointing at the big sun. She held her head high, and said to my brother, "Feng listen up. I have 3 rules here. Do you dare or not?" My brother looked at her, the light in his eyes even brighter than the sun, and immediately almost nodded his head off, replying, "Agree, agree, agree. Don't say 3 rules. I'd agree to 300. His foolish look made my sister-in-law's face blush for a moment, but she immediately straightened her face and enumerated. "First, I won't marry a 2nd-generation wastrel. Your mother raised you as a widow, and from now on, it should be us shouldering the family business. You are not allowed to be idle anymore. You must be diligent in business. Second, I am impatient, and have a bad temper. It is like this today, and it will be like this even after we're married. You are not allowed to use those rules of virtue, bearing, speech, and work to pressure me. Third, I, Chinjia, will never share a husband with anyone else. If we have no son in the future, then let your sister marry a son-in-law, to continue your family line, rather than you taking a concubine. These 3 conditions, let's establish them in a contract before the elders of the clan. If you fail to uphold them in the future, I can divorce you at any time. Are you?" Since sister-in-law became my sister-in-law, my brother must have agreed. But my brother has a bad habit. He loves good-looking people. If those good-looking people cry a bit in front of him, his wallet is like a floodgate opening. He'll give them any amount of money. He never took a concubine, but he made a ton of ever since sister-in-law married in, accompanying him and pushing him to improve. The family fortune has multiplied several times, and so have the opportunities for him to be a patsy. It tired sister-in-law out, leaving her holding her rolling pin all day long, blocking brothels in the east, breaking up pleasure boats in the West, spending 2 out of 3 years catching her husband. Every time she finally caught him, brother would embrace sister-in-law's leg like he was begging for mercy, crying, "My good wife, you know how I am. I just get an eye full. My heart has room for no one but you." The young couple would bicker, and then get all lovey-dovey again. She didn't dare to provoke sister-in-law, only complaining to me, "Oh my heavens. What sin has my family committed? Which family's daughter-in-law chases her husband to beat him every day? Our Feng family has completely lost face." I held a bowl of bird's nest in front of her. "Mother, eat quickly. Eat quickly. Eating it every day will guarantee you live 100 years. Sister-in-law bought you a whole bunch." She looked at that bowl of bird's nest and was speechless. We used to be just moderately wealthy, but we couldn't afford such good things. It was all thanks to sister-in-law's stick that we now have such good days. Sometimes, when she nagged me too much, I would ask her back, "Mother, I am your daughter. Do you want me to live a life like sister-in-laws in the future, or the life of a junior wife in another family?" She was my mother after all. She was so angry at me that she was panting heavily, but she couldn't bring herself to say that she wanted me to become a junior wife. I thought that our family, with all its squabbles and bumps, would be able to live on peacefully like this. But on yet another bright sunny day, while sister-in-law was still teaching me how to do the accounts, a delicate-looking young woman stood in our family's main hall, hiding behind my brother. Sister-in-law didn't care at first. She frowned and asked as usual, "What kind of tragic background does this one have now? Same old rules. If it is true and she wants to go back home, I'll give her 10 tails." Who knew that when the woman heard sister-in-law's words, she immediately grabbed my brother's hand, and with tears streaming down her face said, "Feng Lang, I won't leave, even if I can only be a sweeping maid by your side. I won't leave you for a moment." This was the first person who dared to grab my brother's hand in front of sister-in-law. Mother whispered to me, "Oh no, oh no. Your brother's hand is going to be scrubbed raw. And that woman's 10 tails of silver are going to turn into 5 tails." She and I both knew that Gege only dared to flirt verbally. If someone actually leaned on him, he'd dart away faster than a monkey. But this time, Gege actually gripped that hand back. His voice, when he spoke, was trembling, but he still looked straight at Xiaozi and spoke. "My wife, these 3 years, no matter how outsiders mocked me, I knew you were my good wife. Please be kind-hearted and accept Yonyang. She gave everything to me. I am a man. I must protect her completely. I swear, as long as you allow it this one time, I will never have any—" That sentence, "She gave everything to me." I didn't understand what it meant, but Niang suddenly stood up. She stared at that woman's belly and asked, both nervous and expectant, "You wicked brat, you got someone pregnant without informing your elders." While her mouth was saying, "Wicked brat," the happiness on her face couldn't be hidden at all. After she finished speaking, she then remembered something was wrong, and secretly went to peek at Xiaozi's expression. Normally, Xiaozi would have long since risen in a fury, pulled out the rolling pin tied to her pant leg, and swung it at my brother. But this time, she didn't move. Her eyes were staring blankly, as if she hadn't understood what Gege was saying. I went to hold her hand, and those hands were ice cold. Gege was scared too, but he still continued, "Yes, she is carrying my child. So my wife, whether you nod or not, I am determined to take Yonyang as my concubine." The 3 words, "Na Dinglei," finally made sister-in-law react, a reaction that was beyond everyone's expectation. She wasn't angry. She even said with a smile, "Adding a new member to the family is a good thing. Then let's call a doctor to take a look, to ensure peace and safety." Everyone in the great hall was bewildered by her. "Mom was the first to react," she said joyfully. My daughter-in-law is simply that one named Yang. Why don't you hurry and come pay respects to the madam? Sister-in-law didn't let her bow. She just kept smiling and said, let's not do the bowing today. Taking a concubine also requires a ceremony. Let's talk about it on the day of the ceremony. She was smiling the whole time. The doctor came and said the pulse was steady, mother and child were safe. She was smiling. Mom said she wanted to give the courtyard closest to brother and sister-in-law to that Yang. She was still smiling. By the end of her smiling, he held sister-in-law's hand and hit his own face with it. My dear, if you resent me, just vent it out. Hit me or scold me. Whatever you want, but don't smile like this. My heart aches. Yang heard this and also shed tears, saying, it is my fault, Feng Lang, I should leave. I don't want to make things difficult for you. She softly clutched her belly and walked towards the door with graceful steps. She had only taken 2 steps when brother let go of sister-in-law's hand, chased after her, and grabbed her. Nonsense. Where can a frail woman like you go, especially with child? Mum always said sister-in-law's fierce look was scary, but I thought it was more frightening. The way she could just burst into tears like that. I looked up at sister-in-law. She looked at their clasped hands and left the courtyard without looking back. Mom pulled me along too. In front of others, she smiled happily, but the moment she turned her back on people, she immediately pulled my hand and said, Rouge, your sister-in-law is good to you. You sleep with your sister-in-law tonight and talk to her properly. Just tell her I don't like that Yang at all. Our family's only formally wed daughter-in-law is her. As for that other one, at best, she is just a concubine for bearing children. I felt it was unfair for sister-in-law, so I shook off Mum's hand and said, if you want to persuade her, you go do it. I don't have the face for it. Children. Children. All you care about are children. If he takes one, sister-in-law will divorce him. Mom's face sank, and she slapped my back. You brat. Is divorce something you can just casually say? If your sister-in-law leaves, who will be able to control your brother? Besides, her father is already gone. She only has our family left. I looked at my mom as if I didn't know her, so she knew all along. Sister-in-law controlling brother only made things better. She understood my expression and sighed. I am not stupid. Normally, besides complaining a bit, when have I ever truly set rules for her? But a woman is a woman after all. A husband taking a concubine is something that can't be helped. It has been 3 years, and she hasn't gotten pregnant. In anyone's family, it would be time to take a concubine. You should persuade your sister-in-law. Just in any case, a concubine. Won't she still live by her grace in the future? My mind was at war. I knew my brother was wrong. He broke his promise and abandoned his principles. He forgot the initial promise from that year. But I also didn't want my sister-in-law to leave. Mother was right about one thing. Sister-in-law had no home left. That year, when she decided to get married, besides being touched by my brother, she also wanted to put her critically ill father at ease. She lost her mother early on, and only had her father to rely on. When her father passed away, my brother dropped everything he was doing. And in her small house before she was married, he stayed by my sister-in-law's side for 3 full months. Sister-in-law couldn't eat. Every meal, he patiently coaxed her to open her mouth, feeding her bit by bit. Sister-in-law lay there like a walking dead person, washing, dressing. It was all taken care of by him alone. Even mother wasn't allowed to interfere. He was afraid sister-in-law would go too long without son, so he found a master to learn how to make a plain sedan chair, making scratches and marks all over his hands. In the end, all methods were exhausted, but sister-in-law still remained silent. It was he who pleaded sorrowfully in her ear, Joyu, my good Joyu, please, look at me. Father-in-law is gone, but I am still here. You are the only wife I will ever have in this life. Would you really let me grow older? Sister-in-law was moved by his pleading. The soul taken away by Uncle Chin drifted back. And she finally knew how to cry, nestled in brother's arms, crying as if heaven and earth had abandoned her. thunderous, my dad is gone, I have no home. Brother held her, and swore more sorrowfully than she did, heaven and earth bear witness. From now on, wherever I thunderous am, that will be Chinjie's home. If I ever betray her in the future, may I be abandoned by all, even my closest kin, and die a terrible death. The vows back then were so moving, they truly and deeply loved each other. Could it be that because of one Yaoniang, all of it has vanished? I don't believe it, so I must also persuade sister-in-law not to believe it. Brother must have a hidden reason. I had drafted my words in my mind, intending to go to the small courtyard to find sister-in-law, but as I reached the door, I heard brother's voice. They had set up a table of wine under the moon. Brother was bowing his head, and sister-in-law held his hand, gently saying, "Husband, don't be scared. I won't be fierce to you this time. Tell me, honestly, that Yaoniang is fake, that you brought her back after making a bet with friends to anger me, or that she was pregnant out of wedlock, and you sympathized with her, or that you were helping a friend. In short, you didn't really do anything with her, did you?" Bathed in moonlight, sister-in-law's face was full of tenderness. Brother's head, however, drooped even lower, and he choked out, "Wife, how good it would be if you were this gentle earlier. I am a man. I need face too. If I hadn't been ridiculed for being afraid of my wife and drank too much, how would I have committed the first mistake with Yaoniang? But after committing it the first time, I only then knew what a gentle haven was, and I can't bear to leave her now. It is easy to deceive you tonight, but if I deceive you, I'll have to send her away. She now has my child. She treats me like heaven. I have to be like a man. Wife, I bow to you. I apologize to you. Even if you break my legs with this rolling pin, I won't fight back. But I beg you, please accommodate Yaoniang. Don't make things difficult for them. Mother and child, you know, in my heart, you'll always be first. I am just giving her a tiny corner. I swear, I'll never let her surpass you." Brother didn't dare to look up at sister-in-law. He was bending at the waist, bowing, his mouth full of talk about another woman, so he didn't know how pale sister-in-law smiled, and said okay, smiled, and told him to go back and take care of the pregnant woman, and he ran off as if escaping. But I stayed put, and I clearly saw that the moment brother walked out of the courtyard, sister-in-law's face was covered in tears. She fell to the ground like a madwoman, crying and laughing, then stroked a tree, and slapped herself hard across the face. After she finished slapping, she smiled at the tree and said, "Dad, Mom, don't think I am useless." Crying like this for a scoundrel. 3 years of deep marital affection. After Dad passed away, he was the one who pulled me back. I had to get to the bottom of it. Now the doctor says that woman is really pregnant. And thunderous also personally admitted he couldn't let her go. Since that is the case, this is the last tear I'll shed for him. You two elders above, this husband, I Chinjue, don't want him anymore. Me sister-in-law respectfully kowtowed and bowed to the tree. After finishing the kowtow, she stood up and wiped away the last tear from the corner of her eye. That was the tree her parents personally planted the year she was born. When they got married, her brother and sister-in-law transplanted it back together. I was scared by the seriousness in my sister-in-law's eyes. I turned around intending to pull my brother back to apologize. But when I went to Yaoniang's courtyard, I ran right into them embracing. That Yaoniang said, choked with sobs, "Feng Lang. I was so scared today. I thought older sister would definitely take out that rolling pin you mentioned and give us a beating. I'd already made up my mind to live and die with you. But she didn't lay a hand on us. Nor did she mention divorcing if you took a concubine. It just goes to show what others say is true. You used to spoil older sister too much. Now that I am here, older sister has something to worry about. She won't dare to be fierce with you anymore. Maybe if you ignore her for a few more days, she'll become even more obedient. Brother let out a sigh of relief. Yes, I was too soft before. When I am weak, she is strong. For you and the child, from now on, I also need to establish the prestige of the head of the household. But there is one thing. She is the mistress of the house after all. You have to respect her. If you two get along well, I can feel at ease when I am working hard outside. Brother wanted Yao Niang to respect sister-in-law. She didn't even get jealous, just chuckled softly. Do you think I am as senseless as older sister? My heart aches for you. As long as older sister can tolerate me, I am willing to humble myself no matter what. These words made brother hug her even tighter and say, Nonsense. Who told you to humble yourself? By title, she is the wife. But in my heart, you two are the same. If she really dares to mistreat you, I will definitely protect you. I stood outside the door. He loved her for being gentle and obedient, and always putting him first in everything she said and did. But, after understanding, the urge to persuade him also died. He wasn't blinded by anyone. He chose Yao Niang himself. For Yao Niang, he will have countless arguments with sister-in-law in the future. He only remembered that sister-in-law was fierce and didn't let him have the prestige of the head of the household. But he didn't remember why sister-in-law hit him the first time. At that time, he was not good at managing, and the family shop was about to close down. A life-saving deal was being discussed at a crucial moment. Yet he was swayed by those disreputable friends, and got so drunk at a brothel that he missed the client. When sister-in-law came to confront him, he was still grinning foolishly at her and said, My dear wife, I just had a few drinks with them. I didn't get any girls. Sister-in-law used to discipline him only in the room, but that was the first time she raised a rolling pin. In front of many outsiders, like a tigress, roaring. From now on, whoever dares to call my husband to a place like this again, however I hit him, that is how I'll hit you. That one strike made her the Rouge Tigress in the mouths of outsiders, and it also made those scoundrel friends briefly leave brother's side out of fear. Sister-in-law took the opportunity to keep brother busy at the shop, teaching him little by little, and finally saved the family business, even slowly turning one shop into 5. At that time, brother was punished by sister-in-law to kneel in the ancestral hall. He didn't know that on the day she finished hitting him, sister-in-law drank a lot of alcohol. With her eyes red, she said to me, I am not stupid. I also know that outside, you have to save face. But your brother, with his weak character, if he keeps messing around like this, the shop will be ruined. We can be poor. Mother never had to lift a finger her entire life. So when she is old, does she still have to worry about money? Sister-in-law wasn't natural. At that time, brother understood sister-in-law's painstaking efforts, and they were still a loving and harmonious couple. But as the business grew bigger and bigger, the friends who hung around brother for money came back, and sister-in-law's rolling pin inevitably had to come back too. I and sister-in-law thought brother would understand as he did before. But we forgot that the greater the wealth and power, the greedier a person's heart becomes. Brother, in the end, he is not coming back. Since he is not coming back, it is only reasonable that sister-in-law wouldn't want him. I didn't know when or how sister-in-law planned to leave, so I simply pretended I hadn't heard those words, and just seized the time to stick by sister-in-law's side. When mother asked how the persuasion went, I lied, and said sister-in-law had already come to her senses. To others, sister-in-law did indeed seem to have come to her senses. She began to act like a virtuous and ordinary wife. She chopped that rolling pin in half, using the axe from her courtyard. Mother and elder brother rushed over upon hearing the sound to ask what was wrong. She just tossed the 2 pieces of the stick aside and said, This thing won't be used anymore. Might as well chop it up for firewood, Mother asked tentatively. You won't hit Schwanner anymore, sister-in-law calmly. Ed, no more hitting. Since he is unwilling, I won't waste that effort. At that moment, elder brother's face couldn't help but flash with joy and smug satisfaction. He thought sister-in-law was starting to compromise. To test how far sister-in-law would compromise, he even led Yaoniang by the hand to eat at the same table with us. But Mother was afraid sister-in-law would be unhappy. So she made it a rule for Yaoniang to serve everyone food before eating. But sister-in-law laughed and said, Mother, you are confused. She is still pregnant. Husband can't even cherish her enough. How can you make her stand for long? Come, right by husband's side, add a chair for Miss Yaoniang. These words made older brother freeze. He subconsciously released Yaoniang's hand, and said in disbelief, Wife, are you agreeing to Yaoniang and me now? Sister-in-law calmly nodded, but when older brother tried to take her hand, she deliberately moved away, scooped a bowl of soup, and placed it in front of Yaoniang saying, Drink more to nourish yourself. In a couple of days, I'll prepare the concubine taking ceremony for you two. It wouldn't be good for the child to have no proper status. Yaoniang took the soup, thanked obediently and drank it. A harmonious atmosphere filled the table. Older brother and mother looked at each other, smiling with both joy and satisfaction. Only, I remembered what sister-in-law had said, if a woman loves her husband, she cannot be virtuous, generous, and free of jealousy. Only when she no longer loves him, can she become one of those unmoving, calm clay figures in worldly conventions. Since that day, sister-in-law only did two things. The first, teach me how to read ledgers. The second, prepare the concubine taking ceremony for older brother. She probably didn't want to deal with older brother anymore, always making me study late, then sleep in her room. When Yaoniang needs someone to take care of her right now, so you should go to her courtyard. Even the servants in the house were discussing, saying that sister-in-law had changed her nature, turning from a fiery tigress into a gentle cat. I thought older brother would remain muddled, but when sister-in-law truly personally began preparing his concubine taking ceremony, meticulously instructing servants to procure things one by one, and even when she hung red silk on Yaoniang's courtyard, he actually gained a sliver of clarity. That night, he drank too much during social engagements, and drunkenly came to knock on sister-in-law's door. Sister-in-law pretended not to hear, so he slumped outside the door, mumbling to himself like a child. Wife, today I went to Zushunlu again. Where is your rolling pin? Why aren't you coming to find me with it anymore? Yaoniang said, I've got you under control, and you'll always be a gentle wife from now on. But today when I was drinking, I suddenly felt so scared. I suddenly remembered, regarding me bringing Yaoniang back, you haven't hit me even once, have you? Jiyue, my good Jiyue. Please speak up. You are just angry with me for a bit. You are not planning to leave me, right? The last sentence, he asked very softly, filled with fear, as if sister-in-law just said yes, he would no longer take Yaoniang as a concubine. Only then did sister-in-law open the door, looked down at him and said, You are drunk, and having hysterics. Don't overthink things, go to sleep. Seeing the door open, older brother seemed to see a ray of hope. He hugged sister-in-law's legs, gave a strong tug. I stood behind sister-in-law, just about to speak up and say I was still there, when sister-in-law turned her face away to dodge, broke free one foot, and instantly kicked him out. Outside, the bitter wind was blowing, and my sister-in-law said to me in a low voice, It is too cold. Have someone take him back to the adjacent. I personally escorted my drunk brother over, and saw Yaoniang light up the lamp, attending to him with warm baths and a warmed quilt. I thought to myself, this is good too, if she keeps him occupied. He won't have time to bother sister-in-law. But brother himself called off the concubine taking ceremony, saying he'd wait until the child was born to discuss it further. Mother was so anxious, Her lips broke out in cold sores, saying her eldest grandson couldn't be without proper status. But brother was dead set against it. He asked mother, "Do you still remember that agreement I signed with my wife before marriage?" Sister-in-law was too calm. So calm it scared him. So calm that it finally made him remember that vow. Mother also froze for a moment, but quickly shook her head. "No. That is impossible. That was just something to scare people before marriage. Our family hasn't wronged her. What woman would give up a perfectly good life and divorce just because her husband takes a concubine? Everyone would laugh if that got out." Mother was a woman shaped by convention. For all these years, she had never truly understood a woman like my sister-in-law. Only after mother left did I ask brother, "Brother, since you remember the original vow, why is there still young Lin'an?" He patted my head, giving a wry smile. "You are still young. You don't understand. People are always greedy for more. But don't worry. Your sister-in-law will always be the most important to me." He still didn't think he was wrong. He called it human nature. I knew why sister-in-law was so diligent in arranging the concubine-taking ceremony. And I also knew why brother suddenly didn't dare to proceed with it. It is not easy for women in Dazao to leave a marriage. A consensual divorce is 100 times harder than being repudiated. If it weren't for my sister-in-law making my brother sign that contract before marriage, for something like taking a concubine, no matter which yamen you reported it to, they wouldn't rule for a consensual divorce. But even that contract wasn't easy to get signed back then. Our Feng clan found it shameful and disagreed. It was my brother, shamelessly begging, spending money, and pleading with people, who finally got it signed. Back then, my sister-in-law's father, Uncle Chin, wrote that a consensual divorce would be granted if my brother had an affair with another woman. But an elder in the clan felt that the scope of having an affair was hard to define. So to save some face, he insisted on changing it to a consensual divorce if he takes a concubine. My brother was very sincere at that time, and Uncle Chin was very satisfied. So he agreed to this small change, but it turns out people's sincerity can change. That tiny alteration back then now means my brother actually has to take a concubine before my sister-in-law can leave honorably. At this juncture, when my brother was close to guessing my sister-in-law's true intention, Lin'an helped my sister-in-law out. That night, my brother insisted on sleeping in my sister-in-law's room, and my sister-in-law couldn't even use me as an excuse. Just as they were struggling, a maid from Yaotiang's courtyard rushed in frantically to report. "This is bad. My lady ate some snacks from the young mistress's courtyard, and now has unbearable stomach pain. Young master, please go and see her quickly." That was Yaoniang's own little maid, named Xiaofu. As she spoke, she angrily looked at my sister-in-law, her expression clearly hinting that my sister-in-law had tampered with something. I was about to step forward to argue, but my sister-in-law held me back, and said faintly, "Feng Jixuan, since something happened to the child, I'll go with you to take a look." When we arrived at Yaoniang's courtyard, mother was already there. Yaoniang lay weakly on the bed. I originally thought she was faking it, but she didn't look like it. The one standing in the room was the family's usual doctor. The old gentleman stroked his beard and said, "She ate something unclean. If the amount had been a bit larger, the child would have been in danger. In the early stages of pregnancy, you still need to be careful." That was a highly respected old gentleman. He wouldn't help Yaoniang set up a scheme. He knew there were many hidden secrets in the manor, so he left after prescribing the medicine. It was a rule mother set, that even if Yaoniang was pregnant, she had to go pay her respects to my sister-in-law every 5 days. The snacks were indeed eaten in my sister-in-law's courtyard. If nothing had happened to the child, everyone would still suspect Yaoniang was scheming. But according to the doctor's words, even if Yaoniang wanted to frame my sister-in-law, This would be too risky, Mother said hesitantly. Those snacks? Just as she started to speak, she quickly shook her head again and said, No, my daughter-in-law isn't that kind of person. Xiao Fu was still indignantly accusing. If not the young madam, then who else? Our madam didn't eat anything else besides those snacks. She couldn't have just gotten sick from nothing, could she? Recently, the concubine taking ceremony isn't even happening. In the end, it is still because they can't talk. Both She and Yaoniang thought that not holding the concubine taking ceremony was my sister-in-law's idea. Brother, however, looked at my sister-in-law somewhat agitatedly. Madam, was it you? There was no blame in his eyes. He even somewhat expected his sister-in-law to answer yes. His sister-in-law looked at him for a long time, so long that it was as if she'd never known him, and then suddenly, in a fit of angry shame, she said, It was me, if she dared to snatch my husband from me. She should have expected this outcome today. Do you really think I wanted to hold a concubine taking ceremony? I was just trying to keep her settled for now, that is all. What? Do you still want to divorce me over this? She admitted it bluntly, and even Yaoniang was surprised by this answer. Xiao Fu's reaction was extremely quick. She immediately knelt down and cried, complaining. Young master, you heard it. The young mistress did it. Our mistress is so pitiful, returning to the manor alone with you. You are her only support. You must get justice for her. Such a vicious woman should be divorced to ensure peace for the entire household. She wailed with overflowing emotions, fully expecting older brother to make a big fuss with his sister-in-law. But unexpectedly, older brother first kicked her. With a stern face, he said, What do you think you are? Daring to tell me to divorce my wife? My wife was just bothered by my angry words. Who gave you the guts to take advantage of the situation? That fierce look made it clear to Yaoniang that older brother was happier, that his sister-in-law was still willing to be jealous for him, and willing to deal with other women for him, rather than worrying about her. As expected of someone who could snatch away a bit of brother from sister-in-law. Yaoniang immediately reacted, weakly crying out, Xiao Fu, aren't you going to shut up? This must be the kitchen staff being careless. How can you blame elder sister? Feng Lang, don't be angry. I apologize to elder sister. It was clearly her who was about to lose the child. Yet she could still humble herself and apologize to sister-in-law. That pitiful look made brother recall her good points again. He looked one way, feeling reluctant. He closed his eyes and said, Wife, Yaoniang has, after all, suffered a grievance. Let's continue with the concubine taking ceremony then. You don't need to worry about it this time. Let the housekeeper handle it. My brother had just broken free from the panic of losing sister-in-law, and immediately started dreaming of the good fortune of having multiple women again. But if only he had been a little calmer, he would have noticed Yaoniang's guilty conscience. When sister-in-law admitted it, if only he had recalled his sister-in-law from before a little more, he would have known that sister-in-law never made trouble for those women. She only ever hit brother. Sister-in-law merely saw through brother's fear, and went along with the admission, allowing him to dare to take a concubine. That farce made mother afraid of sister-in-law. She rarely asserted her authority as a mother-in-law, punishing sister-in-law to stay confined in her small courtyard to reflect on her mistakes. Brother thought sister-in-law was still the jealous sister-in-law from before who would be possessive of him, so he put his mind at ease, intending to continue to control her. Sister-in-law's courtyard immediately quieted down, with only me going to her to learn accounting. Come rain or shine, she taught very diligently, as if she wanted to teach me everything she had planned to teach over 5 or 10 years, all at once. Occasionally, she would stroke my head and say, Our Ruyi is a good girl. In case one day your brother doesn't amount to anything, you'll have to support this family and give mother a peaceful old age. I lowered my head and asked her, Don't you dislike mother? She helped brother take a concubine. And me, I am also brother's sister. Sister-in-law shook her head. No. I don't dislike her. It wasn't mother who made the agreement with me. These past 3 years, she hasn't treated me badly. When it was cold, she worried about my clothes, and when I was hungry, she worried about my meals. Even in the most difficult year for the family, she saved on her own winter clothes. But she never skimped on that bowl of brown sugar water. For my period pain, mother is just different from me. As she spoke, she poked my face again. As for our Rui, you even protect me when you argue with mother. Such a cute little girl. Who could possibly dislike you? Her face was smiling. But I knew she was slowly saying goodbye to us. I wanted to pretend I didn't know, but tears couldn't help but fall. I hugged her and said, Sister-in-law, you must be well in the future. Even if you go somewhere else, you must live better than anyone else. Sister-in-law looked at me in surprise, then quickly became relieved and said, Rui is indeed clever. Knowing what your sister-in-law wants to do. Sister-in-law thanks you for not telling your brother what you've figured out. With everything out in the open, I did something I had always wanted to do. I touched sister-in-law's chest and asked, Sister-in-law, on the day Yoniang arrived, did it hurt here? She said lightly, When I knew your brother, he was a good person. Otherwise I wouldn't be brainless. To be utterly devoted to him, and this family for 3 years. I loved him completely, without any reservations, and I believe he loved me that way too. Even until today, if I truly said that if he dared to take a concubine, I would divorce him, he would, after some struggle, definitely send Yoniang away. If it were another woman, she would probably think her husband still cared about her, and life would just continue on like that. But I've seen what true until death do us part looks like. Although my mother passed away early, my father didn't go a single day without loving her. Before Dad passed away, he told me, if one day your brother wrongs me, don't think about how good he once was to me. That is not important. What is important is, from the moment he wrongs me, he will continue to wrong me. He made me promise him never to be that kind of muddled woman who can't let go. It is true that your brother can't let go of me. And it is also true that he can't bear to part with Yoniang. Life is so long, I don't want to spend every day calculating if Yoniang's importance will surpass mine. That would be too pathetic. If he truly loved me, he wouldn't let me suffer this kind of torment. Once I understood these things, my heart stopped hurting. Rui, you must remember this too. When you meet someone in the future, either don't seek love, or if you do, seek all of it. Give up on those who aren't worth it. There will always be someone truly worth it waiting for you. That was the last lesson my sister-in-law taught me. Days flowed like water, and soon it was the day my brother was to take a concubine. Yoniang had managed my brother very well. The banquet wasn't small in scale. And all of my they looked at my sister-in-law, who was sitting gracefully in the main hall, as if she were a rare sight, neither making a fuss nor causing trouble, as she drank the tea Yoniang handed her. They playfully put their arms around my brother, and egged him on saying, Brother Feng, congratulations on reasserting your authority as a husband. Looking at her now, it seems your wife has truly been tamed by you. My brother, glowing with satisfaction from the compliments, said proudly, my wife is naturally virtuous and gentle. But no one is allowed to say she is a vixen anymore. From now on, my family will only have harmonious and beautiful days. He drank a lot of wine, and when he was drunk, he came to my sister-in-law's side and said with a smile, Wifey, where is the hangover soup? The kind you always used to make for me. My sister-in-law looked deeply at him, as if seeing him for the last time in this life. Then casually picked up a bowl of soup and said, Drink it. After you drink it, live your own life well. Feng Jixuan. Let us part ways. From now on, May we each find our own happiness. My brother never again drank the soup my sister-in-law personally made, nor did he see her one last time. When he sobered up, he was greeted by an empty courtyard, where the people had gone, and even the tree planted by my sister-in-law's parents had been moved under my cover. At first, he thought my sister-in-law was still throwing a petty tantrum with him, but after he ran through all the family shops, my sister-in-law's small house before she was married, and all the inns in Lin'an, he finally panicked. He spun around like a headless fly, asking every passerby if they had seen his wife. Mother also got anxious, and told me to take the household servants to search together. I just shook my head. Don't waste your efforts. Sister-in-law won't come back. Brother stared at me as if wanting to devour me. You are talking nonsense. Not long ago, she even drugged Yang for my sake. She loves me so much. How could she bear to leave me? Yang stood aside at this moment, wishing she didn't exist. I looked at her coldly. You tell me, did you put the medicine yourself? Or did my sister-in-law put it? She still tried to quibble. So I had someone tie up. Only then did she plead tearfully. I put it in. My husband suddenly said he wouldn't hold the concubine taking ceremony. And I thought it was my elder sister who made him. I was just taking a gamble, wanting to sow discord between them and secure a guarantee for myself. Please stop hitting her. Xiaofu is still a child. She just felt bad for me. She doesn't understand anything. Sister-in-law said that human emotions are mutual. Since Xiaofu protected Yang so much, Yang must also care about her. Actually, finding out the truth was very easy for sister-in-law. She just didn't care anymore at that time. This answer drove brother crazy. He finally realized that sister-in-law, as early as the first day he brought Yang back, was already preparing to leave him. The shock made him furious. He shoved Yang to the ground. It is all you. It is all your fault. I don't want you anymore. I want my wife back. He still wanted to push the blame onto Yang, but when he looked down, blood was flowing out from under Yang. Mother cried as she slapped him. This one, along with your child, do you not want them either? Yang's child still couldn't be saved. Although she had precisely controlled the dosage of the medicine she took for herself at that time, it ultimately weakened her body, and a simple fall could cause her to miscarry. Brother stood bewildered by her bedside. He was merely wavering and cowardly. His true nature, not cold or harsh. Basin after basin of bloody water, carried out by the doctor, made him gradually regain his senses. He looked at Yang, tears falling, and said, ultimately, I have wronged both of them. It turns out that without my wife, I don't want anyone. The second month after brother nearly drank himself to death, news came from sister-in-law. The family's shops were originally divided into 3 shares, one under brother's name, one under mother's name, and one under sister-in-law's name. Sister-in-law had said that when I came of age, another share would be transferred to my name. Unfortunately, by the time I was 15, she was no longer my sister-in-law. Sister-in-law sold her share, and reportedly planned to settle down and start a business elsewhere. She found a clan elder and hired a lawyer to handle the divorce. The original deed was kept by both clans and also filed at the yamen. There was no need for sister-in-law to appear. Regardless of whether brother was willing or not, they were no longer husband and wife in the eyes of the law. The last thing sister-in-law left him was the plain sedan chair he had learned to make for her. Inside the sedan chair was a letter, not long, only a few words. Back then, I asked you why you didn't just buy a plain palanquin, but instead clumsily made one. Getting your hands covered in injuries, you smiled and said that you wanted to get hurt in front of me. I would feel bad for you. That love back then was real, so I don't hate you, Feng Jixuan. May we both be well from now on. I asked my sister-in-law to write this letter. After all, he is my brother, and I couldn't bear to see him depressed all the time. But my brother, cried holding this letter. He extinguished the last flicker of light in his eyes and said, "Chinjia, you are truly cruel. You won't even leave me hatred." A person with no light in their heart will only become more despondent than before. One shop after another closed down until the servants at home were gradually dismissed. And Yonyang also stole a sum of money and ran away with Xiaofu. Before she left, she wrote a long letter scolding my brother, saying that she had only approached him for money and never expected him to be so useless. No wonder my sister-in-law didn't want such a good-for-nothing. Mother had always believed in relying on her children in old age, and she still wanted to sell the last old shop to help my brother get back on his feet. I flared up, saying that if she didn't give me that shop, I would no longer be her daughter. She still wanted me as a daughter, so the family's last assets went to me. I learned from my sister-in-law, bit by bit, how to run a business. Love is too terrifying. Money is more practical. 5 years later, I saw my sister-in-law in another big city. She looked like she hadn't aged much, holding a little girl in her arms, pouting and getting angry with the man behind her. That man was very handsome, even prettier than my sister-in-law. He was holding a rolling pin, chasing behind my sister-in-law, and coaxing his wife while putting on a veiled hat saying, "My dear, I've got it. Next time I'll definitely wear a veiled hat as soon as I leave the house, so other young ladies won't get a free look at your husband's face." I really didn't know people would throw flowers at me so early in the morning. Hit me a couple of times to calm down. Our daughter is already sleepy. Let's take her home. Someone nearby joked. "Mr. Yang, did your wife hit you again?" He replied with a grin. "Yes." My sister-in-law, embarrassed, quickly went to snatch his rolling pin. "Yang, it has been 3 years since I hit you. Back then we were business rivals. When have I hit you since we got married? Haven't you had enough of the reputation of being henpecked?" He hugged his wife tightly. "I just can't get enough. I want you to manage me my whole life." It turns out that once you've met someone you love, even if you've been hurt, you dare to stand up and start anew. My sister-in-law found new happiness, and her smile was truly beautiful.